Welcome back to Weaponized, and we're here for episode 2, and I think the only place we could start is the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth PC port.
Yeah, man. This is gonna be really good for Square because it's already at 27,000 like concurrent at the time of this recording, and it's the weekday. I can reflect on multiple different games that dropped that were ports specifically from Sony that people were like, oh, I don't know if it didn't. People don't really know how good games are doing until the weekend on Steam. And then you really see what's good about Steam is that we have like transparency on who's playing and who isn't. But we don't really know how many copies have been sold. Kind of my routine for determining this, and this is like an estimate, right? And I've been doing this for a while. If a game has like 10,000 players, right? And it just like, say on the weekend, FF7 Rebirth on PC, on Steam, not on Epic Games. I can't imagine who's buying games on Epic Games when they're on Steam. I don't understand. I don't know who it is.
I have a boycott, so I don't know like what store you're talking about, but
yeah.
So there's the Epic Game Store, and then there's PC.
Oh
so
yeah,
I don't know who's buying Epic Games. Like I don't, like that's I don't know. Like there's some people that build PC like devices and play games from the Epic Game Store, but I only buy games on PC.
That's true. Bro, the only time I've bought something on Epic Game Store was the Kingdom Hearts collection.
You caved, bro. I waited.
I caved because I had been waiting for Kingdom Hearts on PC for quite some time. So I was like, man, I need this. There were so many mods that came out on that before it came to Steam. By the time it came out on Steam, there was like a freaking collection of mods that you can download. Not just like color swaps and like voice swaps, not just keyblades and like little, changes in the code and changes in the physics. It was like the Olympus Coliseum, playing as young Xehanort, complete moveset, complete Riku from beginning to end, voice acted, everything. It's wild, right? So, I don't know. It should have came out on Steam originally when it dropped. I think Square has learned from this.
Oh, they've definitely learned because
the remake Intergrade drop. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say they've definitely learned because Kingdom Hearts and Remake Intergrade, and you're forgetting Neo the World Ends With You, all only launched on Epic Game Store. And that kind of left this void of like, oh my gosh, like you're alienating 99.9% of the people who play on PC. And
it's true.
I mean, if you're someone like me, not to be fair, like, call me an elitist, call me whatever you want. I refuse to buy anything that's not on Steam unless I have to play it on another platform. And in the case of like Kingdom Hearts, it was like, you know what? Let's let it be in beta because there's no way Square doesn't cave for the money down the line. And look what happened.
Of course, yeah. And with freaking Neo, The World Ends With You, it's like nobody even bought that game to begin with. So it was like
so sad, man.
Yeah, I love that game, by the way. Nobody, and I've bought that game on everything that it's available on, excluding Epic Game Store. I bought it on Steam, I bought it on Switch, I bought it on PS4. Like, I bought that game on everything. Almost cursed. I bought that game on everything. Back to what I was saying earlier, I apologize for getting off topic. We kind of talked about, Cage and stuff like that. But FF7 Rebirth right now has 27,000 concurrent players at the time of recording. But on the weekend, that's when you really see how many people are playing concurrent. Right? Now, my math, and this is not based on reality, this is just based on me. If I see 80 to 100,000 people playing, multiply that by 10, and that's how many sales you got.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm just happy that Square managed to deliver the port under 12 months, which is like kind of a record.
Impressive.
Yeah.
They've really never done this, and it's really their biggest game.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. I think it's the best game that Square has released since Remake. But I think really it's the best game, in my opinion, since Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah,
And
that's what I
crazy.
thought you were going to say.
That's crazy for a lot of people. But like in terms of Square since Final Fantasy VII, and like the games that I believe were just unbelievable. You've got obviously FF7, FF8. Don't let me get on a tangent because I adore that game. FF9,
Goated.
FF10. FF10 is that, right? And then it's Kingdom Hearts 2. And really, we jump up and Rebirth. I mean, Rebirth is the best game that they've put out since KH2 or FF10. And, you know, I've fortunately...
I was like, was that a slip?
No. FF10. Fortunately, I've been able to play the PC port. We've got access thanks to Square, and it's wonderful, man. I am blown away. I was telling Noah earlier, it's like I was testing it out with my rig for the past little bit, and it's so funny to me. I have a 3060 Ti and an 11700K. I'm in desperate need of an upgrade, and that's happening this year with the 5000 series. But it's so funny. Like, I'm running the game with DLSS at 4K 60, and I don't know how I'm doing that, but it's happening, and it runs awesome. I mean, I definitely get some dips into the 50s, and I think I saw like 47 once, but I mean, regardless, if my system's running like this, you're going to be running this at 1080p 60, zero problem. And the game is gorgeous. I mean, oh my gosh, it so
is gorgeous,
good, man. I'm so happy, and I just really hope that the people who were really interested in this game, but it wasn't on their platform, put their money where their mouth is, because genuine masterpiece, and we need to propel the remake series as high as it can go for part 3, and let's make part 4 happen, everyone. Put it in the comments.
Yeah, we need part 4. Part 4 needs to just be like Advent Children
remake, but 40-hour game. Like, that's
just
saying, man. Because think about it, right? Like, Advent Children, when Nomura originally had the envisionment of this short story, you know, Nojima worked with him as well. It was a 20-minute short film, and they showed it to audiences, and they're, we want more. And so it eventually became its own movie. But it's like, what if they had the opportunity to tell that, basically, you know, the stories from On a Way to a Smile, the light novel, and bring that in, tell Advent Children, but expand it into this really beautifully done, like, basically just story about acceptance, which is what Advent Children's about. Right. But like, having part 4, I mean, I'm not gonna be able to let FF7 go, man. Like, and I don't know that Square is either. I was having a conversation with someone the other day about this. Like, I genuinely am having a hard time believing that Square is gonna be like, yeah, after part 3, we're done with FF7. I don't buy it. I really don't. It's their cash cow. I mean, it is.
It is their cash cow. Yeah, they're gonna keep making FF7 stuff. I think it's gonna be going on forever. And I'm fine with that. You know, it's gonna be like their Star Wars. Yeah, it's gonna be like Square Enix's Star Wars. You know, they're just gonna keep making more and more. No matter who's asking for it, like, it's just gonna keep coming out. And people are gonna want it. I am going to geek out if we get an Advent Children video game. It's one of my favorite animated movies. I don't want to say one of my favorite movies because that's crazy. Definitely not. But it's definitely one of my favorite animated movies. I think it has some of the best, like, combat. Just like the battles are just nuts.
It's so good, man.
Just the motorcycle scenes and the scene with Tifa in the church. It's epic. So I definitely want an Advent Children video game. Square, please. I think Square is going to get great return on investment for this PC release. And it's going to allow them to not even just put more budget into the third game, but it's just going to embolden them to
for sure,
create for PC, right? With Capcom's PC releases are really good, right? And they do very well for Capcom. And that was one of the first Japanese companies to really acknowledge PC as a platform that's making them money. Now, I'm excluding Sony from this because Horizon Zero Dawn was kind of just a test for them to check out the market, to see if it was worth them doing ports, right? Microsoft started. Well, Microsoft started, you know,
Horizon sold a quintillion copies. It's the most popular game ever.
Everybody's played Horizon. We all know Horizon. I'm being sarcastic. Everybody has purchased Horizon on accident, either through a PlayStation or whatever reason they bought Horizon. Maybe it was on sale.
Can you believe? Like, not even can you imagine? Because it's not. It's real. Apparently, this series has sold 40 million copies. Like
40.
I don't believe it.
Dude, that's more copies. Oh, you know what? I almost said a crazy thing. You know what messes me up? Me up? That Kingdom Hearts.
I'm sorry. 32 million, but it's still crazy.
Okay. I was going to say it seems like it's almost sold more than Kingdom Hearts, but I don't think it has. Kingdom Hearts, while it sold more than Persona and it's been around for less time.
It's close. It's close. KH is at 36.
Oh yeah. Horizon is close. There is not the discussion around Horizon like there is for Kingdom Hearts. When the PC port, and I'm not talking about EGS, when the PC port for Kingdom Hearts came out, that was huge. That was such a huge marketing campaign and such a huge release.
It was just this past summer. I mean, oh my gosh, I remember. So I was in Los Angeles for Summer Game Fest, and I went to IGN's event, IGN Live, and they had some Steam Decks with it running. And I mean, you couldn't even get a spot. People were so excited. And anytime anything Kingdom Hearts came out, people were just losing their minds about it. And again, like I said earlier, people were like, "Oh my gosh, it's finally coming to PC. It wasn't playable before." I'm like, "I know, right?" It's crazy. I mean, yeah,
bro, it's wild that I had played every single KH game on Epic Games, beat it, and now I have to do it all over again for this episode of our new series. The first episode, the pilot.
Oh, well, we'll keep that a little under wraps for now.
It's going to be under wraps.
Little tease for those listening.
Little tease, guys. It's going to be epic. Definitely stay tuned. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I think this is going to be Square's real opportunity because 16 was not in terms of sales for the PC. It really didn't do that well, in my opinion, based off what I've seen from the concurrent. I don't think 16 did that well on PC. 16 really didn't do that well overall. I love that game, mind you. I'm not going to get into it. I love that game. I don't like it as much as Remake. I don't like it as much as KH2. I don't like it as much as KH1. I don't like it as much as Lightning Returns, 13.2, 13.1.
I don't like it as much as Kingdom Hearts 3.
Wow. No, I agree. I play a lot. Bro, I probably... No, I'm not going to say that. I definitely like it more than 15.
Dude.
I like it more than 15. Because I think it's not more grounded. I think it makes a little more sense. But go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, I honestly, Yoshi P, what a guy. I don't know. I can tell you, my problem with 16 isn't even the game on PC. It's that it runs horribly. I actually, for the Rebirth in preparation for the review, I actually bought 16. On PC, and I didn't own it, and I bought it with my own money.
Square gave us a copy of 16, and I had played it for the review on PC. So, I mean, we had both played it. I didn't mind the performance. Obviously, I have a 4070, and I have an i9 13900K with, even then, I don't even think it ran that well. I mean, it's a good-looking game. Definitely.
You want to know why it doesn't run well?
Why?
Crystal Tools.
I was gonna say, it's a proproprietary engine. Yeah, the proprietary
based
engine
on Crystal Tools.
Yeah,
everything.
Remember how terribly 13 ran on PC?
Everything. People don't understand. Like, we have there's a divide in the Square Enix fan base, right? We have there's
there
multiple,
always has been.
But there's the casual fan base and there's the hardcore. But more importantly, there's the strictly I play 3 Square Enix games and I call myself a Square Enix fan, or I play everything, right? There's no in between. And it's so funny to me because I saw a thread on Twitter not that long ago of people talking about Crystal Tools, and a bunch of people were like, "Oh, what's Crystal Tools?" And I'm like, Crystal Tools is literally the sole reason that everything that ever happened to Square happened from 2006 to basically 2016.
I agree, and then they repeated that
everything.
Again.
Yeah, no, it's
with
everything.
Luminous.
Oh, no, exactly. And it's so funny because it's literally Crystal Tools is still causing problems today in the company. There's still games that are not being developed or this or that. Look at 13. 13 does not exist outside of PC. The 13 trilogy.
True.
You cannot play it on PS5. You cannot play it on Xbox. You cannot play it on Switch.
Right.
And partly the reason because of that, if I were to make a guess, would be with challenges with Crystal Tools, because
Yep.
that engine is horrible to work with. And don't get me wrong, it made some beautiful visuals at the time, but you've got to think about how notorious Crystal Tools is, and think about projects like Versus 13 and all this stuff. And it's like, man, like that engine really was the root of everything. And it's crazy to think about.
I know people have been waiting for a Final Fantasy 13 trilogy remaster for like modern consoles. It's probably not going to happen. Number one, it's going to take a lot of Square Enix's time and money to try to figure that engine out and port those games. And number two, the feedback on those games was not very positive. Yes, they sold pretty well. I wouldn't say Lightning Return sold that well, but the original 13, the first 13 games sold pretty well. And then 13.2 had a big dip in sales. And then Lightning Returns was pretty much an even bigger, like, I think Lightning Returns was like half of the sales of 13.2. And then 13.2 was like half of the sales of 13. I don't have the sales pulled up on my computer. I just know that the descent was crazy. Like, people just weren't interested in the sequels. I love all three of those games. I'm actually a huge fan of the 13 trilogy. I think those games are so unique, and they represent an era for Square that was just really creative, and they were taking a lot of risks in terms of just aesthetics and science fiction, and everything that they were doing in that trilogy was really cool. And they were building a whole universe around the FNC, the Fabula Nova Crystallis, right? And that also was a big thorn in their side.
Yeah.
Right?
To
Like,
say the least.
to say the least. That's me just being honest. Like, Versus 13 took forever to come out, and then it was Luminous, and Luminous caused a whole bunch of problems. There was just a whole lot of mistakes made with that game in terms of like culling out things that they didn't cull out. You know, if you glitch around that game, you'll notice like during the Leviathan fight, the whole freaking world is still rendered in, you know, when those things should have been culled out during that fight. It's not like Noctis can leave that arena when it's happening, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just wild to see that Square has finally accepted that they can't make their own engine, you know? I mean, it's not good for their finances. It's not good for them. And they had to reflect on that. Now,
I wouldn't be surprised if they take another crack at it here in the next 5 years.
God,
and I know that's like gonna cause people to be on guard, and
remember
understandably. Yeah, remember Forspoken.
I don't think Square Enix wants to remember Forspoken. I don't think Square Enix wants to remember Forspoken.
They don't. I mean, that's one of the biggest PS5 exclusives that's left. No, I don't even think it's exclusive anymore, is it? It's on PC.
One of the biggest
There's none. There's like two.
One of the biggest PS5 exclusives that's left.
Yeah. But I mean, I think
know.
with on the engine talk, you see right now, obviously, who has amazing engines that are proprietary and that they use and they developed in-house.
Capcom.
You've got Capcom's RE engine, and they've already announced the sequel, right? Mm-hmm. So they're already working on a second one. You've got id Software. Their engine is fantastic. Indie ran in it. It looked great.
Yeah.
And then really, I mean, Nintendo's, and that's about it. I mean, now, I'm so sorry. I am a huge Decima. Decima's phenomenal.
Decima is probably one of the greatest engines ever made.
I mean,
super impressive.
If you've not played Death Stranding and just looked at that world, I mean, even in 2019 when I was playing that on my PS4 Slim, and I was like, oh my gosh, these mountains look real. I mean, it's crazy, man. That engine with DS2 is going to be something to behold. And man,
DS2, I mean, dude, that game looks so good.
I'm so excited. I just want another trailer. Like, Kojima was at the Game Awards, and you know, I saw him go up, and he was at the very front and was, you know, saying hi to Ella Purnell, and then he just sits down and the guy shows nothing. I'm like, Kojima, like, what are we doing? I need my trailer.
Exactly, bro. We need that trailer, dude. It's like
he forgot, you know, PS5 has no games, so he's not allowed to show the trailer.
Like, oh my God. Great topic to talk about on this podcast. The PlayStation 5. This console generation, specifically for Sony. Because Nintendo, they're in their own league. We've already discussed this in the first episode. PlayStation 5, I feel like this is Sony's worst generation.
By far.
There's rarely any exclusives coming out for that console. And even when there is, they're just not that exciting. You know, the PlayStation 4 had so many exciting exclusives, and then the PS3 had a lot going on for it. You know, it had Infamous, it had Resistance, it had Killzone. What else? Ratchet. I mean, they had a lot coming out.
Yeah.
PS4 started off with Infamous Second Son, you know, and that was one of the most gorgeous games of that year and pretty much of the entire PS4 generation, crazy enough. And Sucker Punch obviously followed that up with Ghost of Tsushima, which was mind-bendingly gorgeous. Yeah, so
it's crazy
Sony's
for me.
Generation has been bad, but go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say it's crazy for me because like PS5, like you can look at what they've released so far, and it's like 1 to 2 games a year. But then that's not even the bad part. The bad part is think about what are they going to release after this? Like, what are they going to release going forward? Because this year you have Death Stranding 2. That's not a first party game, but that's Kojima, right? So Kojima exclusive. Then you have Ghost of Yotei. And really, besides that, that is it. You have Wolverine 2. But think about the thing for me that is just so, it's honestly laughable. And it comes from the top of command at Sony. Like, you know, I think there is definitely blame to be put on Herman Holst for allowing the what's going on to happen. But Jim Ryan is basically like, I mean, I don't know. If you read Sony fans' Twitter posts, like you would think Jim Ryan's the devil. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
they've never hated a guy more than that.
But you have to think about it. Like, let me just read this because I have this pulled up here. So PlayStation has had 17 games that were live service that they have been in development for PS5. So Destruction All-Stars, which remember was supposed to be $69.99, flopped and they made it free to play. So that came out. So then we have Helldivers, their one success. Concord, we're not going to talk about Concord. Fair Games, that's that bank heist one from Haven Studios. No idea. There's no idea if it's coming out. Well, I would assume it does, but who knows? Horizon Multiplayer from Guerrilla Games. We have no idea if it's coming out.
Didn't the MMO get canceled?
Oh, we're getting to that. Number 7, we've got Marathon from Bungie, which Bungie's a whole other topic.
Dude, I don't even know.
Horizon
Dude, Bungie,
MMO,
oh my God. Sorry.
Horizon MMO, canceled.
Yep.
Media Molecule live service game is unannounced. That's supposedly in development. Last of Us Online, canceled. Twisted Metal from Firespite, canceled. Spider-Man The Great Web online game, canceled from Insomniac. London Studios live service game, canceled. We learned this past week that Bluepoint was making a God of War live service game, now canceled. And Bend Studio was working on a live service game, now canceled. So here's the crazy thing for me. PlayStation has, I would say, 3 years left in this generation, right? And you're telling me that Bluepoint Studios, who made the Demon's Souls remake that released at launch for PS5, they have been working on support for God of War Ragnarok and then an online GAAS God of War game that got canceled. So basically, they are not working on a project right now. And there are 3 years left in this system. There's no way that with modern AAA development that they're going to have a game out by the end of the system. There's no way. And so now you've set yourself up. How many games is Sony going to release for the rest of the console? I have no idea. Like, I think they're screwed. I genuinely
They've been resting on their laurels for quite some time, and I think it's time for them to learn that they can no longer do this. I understand that they don't see Xbox as competition because Xbox just doesn't sell. Like, I work as a technician and I see tons of PlayStation 5s coming into my store, and I see maybe one Xbox come in every like 3 weeks. I probably see like maybe 5 PS5s a week, and I work 5 days of the week. So, and some days I see like 2 PS5s come in, and I just don't see any Xboxes come in. I mean, that's just reflecting how many people actually have an Xbox outside of just the raw sales numbers. A lot of people didn't buy it. So Sony's been resting on their laurels, and I don't think that's been doing well for them because they're just not really making any video games. As you've just went through this whole list, a lot of these games are getting canceled. And honestly, their PC approach has been a way for them to fund their next video games. But what next video games are we even talking about? because Wolverine got announced a long time ago. We don't have that. Where is that? We don't even have a trailer for that. Right? We don't even know what that game looks like outside
here's
of
the concern.
leaks.
If all these games are canceled, they're not going to have any income coming in from games. And Shuhei Yoshida said last week that if you want to support Sony, you need to buy their remasters and their remakes. So buy Last of Us Part 2 remaster, remake, remaster, which is so funny. But for me, I am sitting here as we're talking about this thinking, do you think that because Sony has screwed themselves with all these canceled games and is just eating loss after loss, and again, like specifically Western games in the AAA space are taking about 5 years to develop, do you think that Sony's going to just be forced to go day and date and multi-platform with all future releases? Because I kind of feel like that's where we're at. And I think it's going to be really funny. It's going to be really funny.
Let's remember the PlayStation Portal for a second. That is hardware, and you know, as well as I know, us being in this industry, that making hardware takes a lot of R&D, which costs a lot of money, right? And that's also a console that it's not even a console. It's a product, a device that I rarely see anybody have. Unless you're just like a really big Sony head and you've really invested in your PlayStation 5, you don't have a Portal. So that's just another business venture that I think is a huge failure, and probably is a huge failure objectively.
They said that they were happy with the Portal sales.
They can say whatever
they know
want.
It's a very niche, and I don't buy it at all. But I'll tell you, so Amazon a while back had a sale on the Portal, and I actually bought one, and I bought one and used it for about 5 days because I was just curious. I wanted to say that I tried one, and then I returned it because it was whatever. But yeah, we'll get to that. But I tried it, and dude, I have gigabit internet. Like I have 1,000 up, 1,000 down. It ran
too.
Terribly. It was terrible. Like the lag was so apparent. The visuals weren't just kind of whatever. And I was not that impressed by it. I was like, this is not that great. Like I would rather just play something on my Switch and have it be like, worse graphics. I would rather do that any day of the week instead of stream something. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's just like, I totally agree with you. I barely know anyone that has one. And also like, maybe it's just me. I totally get it because trust me, like the Switch being able to like, okay, I'm going to go in the living room and play. I'm going to go lay in bed and play is awesome. It's great. But with the Portal, it's like, I don't know. I just don't feel like people are using it like that. I think there's definitely a group of people. There's an audience for it. But like, how big is that audience? I mean, I'd be shocked if it's 1 million people. I bet it's like under 400K.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's 1 million people using a PlayStation Portal. Also, the PlayStation Portal doesn't serve a function outside of being a cloud device. I literally cannot use the device if I do not have a PlayStation 5 connected to it. It just doesn't do anything. It's a brick. It has no other function. It is stupid. It's a bad piece of tech. It's not good. Everybody knows it's bad. If you're sane, you know it was a huge mistake. If you're insane, then you think it's a great product. I think that Sony's going to do day and date because I think they're looking at the return on investment for these PC ports and they're realizing, wow, a lot of people on PC are actually buying our games. People used to say that PC gamers pirate everything, which is not true. People do that, yes, but not the majority. The majority purchase their video games and their digital games. There's no need to ship things. You just put it on Steam and you watch the numbers pile. When Horizon Zero Dawn, that was like their first big PC port that Sony did. When that, it was like an investor's report or whatever. When it came out, I think it was like 250% like return on investment. It's a lot. It's a lot of money to make. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And I think that's when they realized that they weren't going to do exclusives anymore. But I feel like that window is getting shorter and shorter. We're going to get games sooner and sooner from Sony until we're just getting them on the same day that they drop. Because their failed leadership is why they're here now. And they could not keep the momentum they had from the PS4. People bought the PS5 based off hype, based off of, hype beast culture. Same reason why people buy Supreme, same reason why people buy fashion. Like, I'm a big fashion guy, but I understand like the psychology behind it. Everybody has a PlayStation. Like, my friend has a PlayStation. I got to get a PlayStation. Oh, we're both playing 2K. We're both playing Call of Duty. But like, Sony's not dropping those types of games that are really being played by the culture. Yeah, Helldivers is doing well. It's been doing well for quite some time, but it's not like a huge, huge game. Sony's acquisition of Bungie was a huge mistake. They spent so much money on Bungie, and Destiny has completely fallen off. Completely. They took their whole PvP team and put it on Marathon. I think Marathon's going to be a huge flop.
I don't know anyone who's excited for it. Like, I don't think I've talked to a single person who's like, I'm looking forward to Marathon. I just don't.
And the views for their trailer is inflated by like ads or bots or something. I don't know where these views are coming from. I do not know where these views are coming from. They're coming from somewhere. That's what I'm going to say. I'm not accusing Bungie of anything. This is not objective. This is not, I don't know if it's true, but these views are coming from somewhere. And I don't see any interest for Marathon at all. Destiny is doing these little episodic DLC, like, I don't know if it's free or what. I stopped playing. I just stopped playing after the final shape. I have no idea what's going on. I'm seeing like some of my favorite Destiny YouTubers play this content and just be completely bored and completely tired of it. People are uploading videos like, I am done with this game. I'm never going back. It's over. Imagine a 10-year-old game that you've invested thousands of dollars into. I've invested thousands of dollars into Destiny. Silver, the microtransactions, the DLCs. Mind you, Bungie was enabled by not only the content creators, but their community to delete content that we paid for, right? Curse of Osiris, Warmind. These are expansions that came out for Destiny that you cannot play. They do not exist. You paid for them. You cannot play them because they deleted them from the game. They call it sunsetting. It's when they get rid of content.
Yep.
It doesn't exist, right? And there were people, I'm not going to mention their names, very big content creators in that community that enabled this behavior from Bungie. And this ended up enabling Bungie to get rid of Forsaken, which was their greatest expansion probably that they've ever made, right? And it doesn't exist. You cannot play it, right? All the content in that game is boring at this point in time, especially if you've played the game for as many years as I have. I played the beta for Destiny 1, right? I played the beta for Destiny 2. I bought all the expansions. Soul bought all the expansions, and then he didn't buy the final shape. I think the final shape, based on the concurrent at least, I don't know about the sales numbers, underperformed comparatively to the previous DLC that they released, Lightfall. And Lightfall was terrible. It actually destroyed the morale for the players of Destiny. Their morale was destroyed. It was a terrible story. It had a very empty world that they introduced. It was supposed to be the cyberpunk world, and basically the citizens in this cyberpunk world that you visit, it's called Neomuna. It's on Neptune. The people are like holograms. They're not even like holograms of people, but they're kind of just like, I don't know if it's like triangles or orbs. I barely can remember. They're not even there. They don't even speak. It's just like an empty, small city on a gigantic planet. I have no idea. I'm not an astrophysicist. I'm not Neil deGrasse Tyson. I don't know how much bigger Neptune is than Earth, but I can tell you this much. The capital city of Neptune should be a lot bigger than that, right? So they failed on that, and then the final shape came out, and they rushed to make the Dread, guaranteed. That was their new race for the game, their new alien race, right? They rushed to make the Dread. Half of that content is super static. When I say static, I mean like the visuals, right, are static. You have this, you're going inside of the Traveler. It's this grand place that we've been waiting to just figure out. It's a big mystery. It's like Kingdom Hearts. Literally, Destiny is Kingdom Hearts. It's a light versus darkness in an eternal struggle, right? The Traveler is the Kingdom Hearts, right? And then by the end of Lightfall, there's big triangle this big triangle opens up in the Traveler, and we all are preparing to fly into it and fight the final boss of final bosses, right? He's like a overpowered character that nobody can defeat, right? We get to the final shape, we defeat him. No questions asked, right? And then he goes, hey, I'm the knife. I'm just the first knife in the winner's hand or whatever. Like, he's basically saying that he's not even the final boss. It's like Xehanort saying, like, I'm just a little piece of the puzzle. Like, you know, there's a much bigger guy that's controlling me, right? And so Bungie's been building up these little stupid episodes for their community to play. Nobody's playing them. I actually seen on Steam that it had less than 10,000 players one day. It was just insane, by the way. That's insane for a game that had 300,000 concurrent at one point in time, right? Not even a year ago. So that is supposed to lead up into their next expansion, or not their next expansion, their next story arc, which is supposed to be focused, I assume, on, you know, getting to the Winnower, who is supposed to be like the master of masters of Destiny. If any of you play Kingdom Hearts, this will make sense. Bungie doesn't know what they're doing. Sony purchased them for a lot of money. And long story short, I think Bungie's going to go under. And I think Sony's going to, and they've been doing this, integrating Bungie employees into their company and just getting rid of Bungie entirely. I think that's going to happen. I think they should just can Marathon and just take their losses. Honestly, I think it was a huge mistake to buy that company, and I think they should just move on. I'm telling you a lot, but this is good information for people who are not aware. That company made a bunch of mistakes. Their CEO, not a good guy. But I want to stop talking about this and stop yapping about this. I don't know if you have any thoughts on what I said.
No, I mean, I was just going to say, like, you know, I played the crap out of Destiny 1. Up into
incredible game.
Was it Rings of Iron, Lord of Iron? What was the third expansion?
Shoot.
I don't remember. But point being, I played Taken King.
Rise of Iron.
And, Rise of Iron. Yeah, so I stopped at Rise of Iron. That was the last one I played. But I played, you know, all of Destiny 1. I loved it. And then Destiny 2, they were like, oh, you're back. You got to do the whole thing, do the whole story again at the beginning. I was like, what the heck? I was like, I'm not playing this. So I didn't play it. I never really got into Destiny 2. But, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, just seeing it from the outside, like, it's just kind of wild how many bad things have happened to Bungie since they got acquired by Sony. And I know you talked earlier, just brief comment about the, you know, Bungie revoking stuff. I mean, that's a huge problem with the industry that people just don't realize is digital, quote unquote, ownership. So, you know, if you're familiar with
we really don't own anything.
No, you don't. You own a license to play it. So even Steam, you own a digital license to play that game. Mm-hmm. And if Steam or PlayStation or Xbox or Nintendo is like, you know what, we're taking that off, you don't have that, they can take it away from your account, no problem. And that's just wild to think about. And
it's insane.
That's why I buy my games physically, because I actually own them. And, you know, that's something GOG on PC, GOG, they do a
shout out to CD Projekt Red.
Right. Yeah, no, they do a great job of actually letting you own your games. Now, granted, it's still a license. However, the way that they work is you basically get access in an environment that they can't control or access. You actually get the installer files for all the games. So no matter what, if they take it even from your account, you'll still always have access to it. And I think as people that play games and as a, you know, just massive community worldwide, there needs to be some sort of like, you know, I hate to use the term woke, but like wake up of people that need to be like, okay, wait, like we need to figure out this digital games thing because this isn't right. I don't think it'll ever happen because people just buy and just don't care or don't think. But it's like,
that's the problem with humanity.
It's crazy.
We've just accepted having nothing. We're going to eventually be at a point, this is with streaming and everything, like anime, like we're going to be at a point where we own nothing.
There's a reason that they're doing this, that the companies are doing this, because if you don't own it, you have to pay for it. And
exactly.
You're not going to have to pay for it, not just once, but multiple times. So it's funny, you know, like streaming. Netflix this week announced that they're increasing their prices for like, I think the third time in a year. And it's up to $25 for 4K. I jokingly texted my dad. I'm like, well, it's looking like I'm going to have to choose between a Netflix subscription and buying a house.
Yeah, that's a whole lot of money, dude. $25 a month.
Year. I mean, that's $25 a month is like what? I mean, that's $300 a year. That's
I
a
think,
lot of
yeah, that
money.
is $300
Yeah,
bucks a year.
it's a lot of
Yeah.
money. And
So my math,
no, yeah,
my
I know.
math
I
was
mean,
eluding me.
I just it's wild to me because I mean, I don't know. Like I think that's what Xbox like maybe this is a crazy reach, but for the future of the industry, like I don't necessarily have positive things to say, unfortunately. Like I think I could see a future that, everything is subscription and like you have to pay subscription to access
That's
games and
scary.
like
That's scary.
Xbox Game Pass is the only way you can play games or something. Just a similar service like that. And yeah, it's super
Right.
scary.
It's
So I really
terrifying.
hope that, if you care about your digital library and you care about, you don't want to wake up and like, okay, we took this game away, so it's gone. I mean, how many times does that happen? I feel like it happens a lot more than people want to talk about.
It
But if you
does.
don't like that, I mean, there's got to be laws or something to be made because I mean, it's
We have to
crazy.
make some laws around it. There's no way that this can continue. As you can see, the PlayStation 5 Pro, it doesn't come with a disk drive. You have to buy a disk drive separately.
Yep.
Sony is following in Microsoft's footsteps. I just got a Xbox Series X in my store. That is the white one, the 2 terabyte one that doesn't have a
No
disk drive.
drive.
Yep.
It's so sad.
And I'm like,
man.
what is that? That's a weird console.
I think that I don't know. I think that PS6, to be fair, the physical market share for PlayStation is still above 40%, I believe.
It is.
I think that
They have a
PlayStation
huge
6,
lead. They have a
yeah,
huge lead.
yeah. I think PS6 will still have physical, but I think they're going to do the same thing and they're going to launch with no disc drive. And if you want it, you have to buy it. And
Yeah.
I really think that PlayStation's last generation physically is going to be PS6, which I probably won't be buying a PS6 because I'm going to be sticking with Switch 2 as my primary machine with PC.
Yeah, it's
But
going to be
thankfully,
Switch 2 and PC.
Nintendo, of course, the savior of the industry. I mean, it's ridiculous, but Nintendo, more than ever, we've already got confirmation. Yeah, all your Switch games play, no problem. And hey, we're making them all for Switch 2 as well. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't get any better than that, man. I mean, I've
You
bought
can't.
I have too many
And
games
so
at
many
this
people
point.
hate on Nintendo, dude. So many people hate on them, and they don't even know what's really going on in the industry. They're just looking from the outside. They're not really participating in the industry. So they don't understand. Like, you can be a part of the community, right? You can be a consumer, but it's about being, not to be ridiculous, but being on the back end. There's
you
a
have
back
to.
of house and there's a front of house, right? The front of house, they buy the games. The back of house, they create the games.
And
Right?
it's funny because like even people online, I mean, you see this with people online. How many like, quote unquote influencer accounts do you see that basically just talk on a surface level of everything and just talk about this stuff? And it's like that's fine. Look, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anything negative about, enjoy things the way you want to enjoy them. But there is something to be said about the fact that like, yes, there are a far larger majority of people in online communities and just in the industry in general that buy games that don't think past the surface level of what's going on behind the scenes.
It's just enabling these companies to go towards the route of Xbox Game Pass, I'm
Oh,
surprised
absolutely.
that Microsoft is still selling games when
Uh,
Xbox Game Pass has been so successful for
I'm
them. I know it's kind of tetered off a little,
Is it
It's not
successful
like,
though?
I mean, in terms of like, they had to find a out. They had to find an
Yeah.
out for the failure of the sales of their console, right? Like they failed to sell consoles on the Xbox One. Thanks, Don Matrick. He was kind of the progenitor. He was the he was the reason. He
It's a
is the
marketing
reason.
masterclass. I mean,
Yep.
seriously, look up if you're curious. Go look up. There's a whole marketing case study to be had with Xbox One and why it went wrong. Because, I mean, and even the Series S and X, like, I'm not going to call them failures because they've sold, I think, almost 30 million units. That's not
Yep.
a failure, but it's definitely not anything. It's like half of what the PlayStation 5 has sold. So it's not
Yeah,
great.
it's not that much
But
comparatively.
yeah, I mean, I'm honestly just more surprised that Xbox hasn't said, "Hey, Sony, hey, Nintendo, we're gonna put Xbox Game Pass on your platform." Which
Yeah.
I'm more surprised that hasn't happened.
I feel like we're approaching that point. Slowly but
Yeah.
surely, there's going to be a day where Microsoft decides that they don't want to do physical consoles anymore. It's going to be their Sega moment. Now, Microsoft
mean-
is way richer than all these companies we're talking about, but it's their gaming industry. Their gaming sector, their gaming division that we're specifically talking about, because their gaming division isn't really doing that well. We actually
They
seen
almost cut it.
recently. Yeah, they did.
I mean, like before they bought Bethesda, there was a report that came out recently that like rumors say that apparently Microsoft and its CEO wanted to gut its gaming division
Yep.
like as a couple years ago, which is just crazy to think about. And then you look at now to present, they've bought Bethesda and they've bought all of Activision, and like
Yeah, Activision
there's
Blizzard.
no escaping it. There's no escaping it now.
They have
Like
to
they've
do
locked
something
themselves
with
in.
it. Yep.
Yeah,
That was a
and
big risk. I can't believe that so many people allowed that to happen. The government was fighting it. I don't know if it's a good idea anymore. I mean, like back when it happened, I was like, yeah, this might be actually a good thing. I was one of those guys that was okay with it. I was one of those guys that was like, hey, maybe Microsoft should buy ActiBliz. And now looking at, I think recently we actually got, what was it? It was like information or something. What did we get? I need to roll back on that. It was Microsoft kind of reflecting on, it was like some report or something like on how well the
that basically that
purchase
the
went for them.
Activision thing hasn't necessarily brought the returns that they looked at
Correct.
as of now, which I'm with you in the same boat, because when the Activision deal happened, honestly, I mean, we can talk about this all day. ActiBliz, which I've never heard that term, and that's fun. I'm going to use that from now on.
Yeah, ActiBliz.
Activision Blizzard is notoriously one of the worst managed companies in games industry.
Ever.
Like, they're terrible. And that's not to say, now granted, they have teams in there that make phenomenal games. Toys for Bob, the Crash 4 was phenomenal. The Spyro remakes were amazing. I mean, I could go on and on. Vicarious Visions and the Tony Hawk. I mean, we could go on and on.
God, yeah.
But the real point here, like, they have some amazing teams, but the management at the very top, it was terrible. And so the thought of Microsoft coming in and overseeing that, and more importantly, giving those teams more budget and gutting the fat, as you would say, I mean, that was a good thing. But you look at it now, and Microsoft is just, I don't know. Like, I don't even feel like they manage their own studios. But I will say, I will give them credit where credit is due. It feels like this year and beyond, they're really set up and they've got it in line. But like the last 2 years have just been all over the place. Like, I mean, this year you've got Fable, you've got Doom, you've got South of Midnight, which looks good. You've got a couple other games too that I'm sure I'm forgetting. But I mean, they've got a really good year, and by far the best confirmed lineup as of now. So I don't know. I'm very indifferent, but I totally agree with you. I don't know how I feel about that acquisition, just solely for the fact that like Microsoft itself doesn't seem interested in really putting the time to, make their studios and division healthy, because that's the biggest problem that people refuse to talk about. Is like, you look at, for instance, I'm going to use the example because it's on my head, like Rebirth. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was developed in 3 years. Why? They kept the same team. They reused assets. They got the game out in 3 years. It is literally bigger than 90% of RPGs on the market.
It's true.
Take RGG Studios, Yakuza. They reuse assets.
Impressive.
I mean, we get a game every single year.
RGG is mind-blowing how they're able to just put stuff out. And it's because they reuse assets.
And they keep their teams together. They don't lay off everyone. And that's the biggest thing. And you look at the West right now, and I can't tell you like one company or studio that hasn't either A, had layoffs, or B, isn't taking like 5 or 6 years to make their games. I mean, I'm so sorry. Like, this is not supposed to be the we hate Sony episode. But I mean, Spider-Man 2. $310 million in 5 years. And look, I think that, you know what, people can say what they want, and that's completely fine. And, you got to look at, it makes sense when you think about the salaries of people and how much that costs over 5 years. But I'm sorry, that did not feel like a $310 million game. It was 12 hours. And it's like, this is the state of the industry of what we've come to. Like, $300 million games are being made that are 12 hours. And literally, like, you have to sell how many copies? Like 7 or 8 million to break even? Man, it's crazy.
It's insane. And Sony doesn't have a good enough adoption rate to make that happen most of the time. And that's
Spider-Man
their biggest
exception.
issue. Yeah.
Like, honestly, I mean, call me crazy. Call me crazy. I think Tsushima was in a very unique spot, being the last big PlayStation 4 exclusive. And
Yeah.
they had, all the hype around that. It was fresh. It was new. I don't think Yote will outsell Ghost of Tsushima.
Definitely not. Definitely not. I'd
I
be
just
shocked.
don't.
I'd love to come back to this conversation and be proven wrong, Sony. But I just don't think it's going to outsell Tsushima. Tsushima, man, dude, remember the very first time you seen the first trailer? Like just the very
Yes.
first time you seen the first trailer of Tsushima and you seen the grass and you just seen how tranquil it was, how gorgeous it was. It was mind-bending. The PlayStation 4 had a lot of really good looking games. And the jump from that to the PS5 hasn't really been that impressive. It was Mark Cerny who went up on stage and touted the SSD and the IO technology of the PlayStation 5 as its biggest selling point, right? For people to buy. But a lot of the people that purchase these consoles aren't really paying attention to that. And I think we've moved on from an era of graphical fidelity. Back on the PS4 and the Xbox One, we were yapping back and forth about, the Xbox One is a 900p console and the PS4 is a 1080p console. Yeah, the teraflops and, the CPU is better, the GPU is better. Like, it was just so ridiculous, the conversation that was happening around that. And it bothered Phil Spencer a lot. And he tried to deflect and kind of say, hey, the Xbox One is an elite console. And I just think that's ridiculous because at that time, I knew that he was trying to deflect and I knew that he cared because the crumb side community of the console wars was very loud during the PS4 and the Xbox One generation. They're not as loud anymore because Xbox kind of lost that war, right? And it's kind of just not really a war anymore. There's not really a war to be had, but there used to be a war. It used to be back and forth, right? Especially during the PS3 and the Xbox 360. And I know people try to act like these companies are friends, and sometimes they are, right? They get along maybe on social media, but these executives, especially the ones that really care about their, creation and care about what they've put out, that bothered them. They did not want to have the weaker console. So when Xbox Series X came out, Xbox was flaunting this thing as the most powerful console. And then Sony was like, our SSD, our IO is faster. Like, our games load faster, is whatever. Like, none of that is really true. But they were just kind of going back and forth of this console is more powerful. It's like we are in an era now where we really don't care about which console is faster. Right? We have PC. PC has been dominating for quite some time now. And if you want graphics in your game, you're really going to go to the PC for it. So the war has changed between these two companies. Like I said, Nintendo is not really a part of this conversation. They are long beyond.
The Wii was really where it started, where they're like, GameCube, they were gunning for graphical fidelity.
Correct.
And
the GameCube had really good looking games.
Yeah. And the Wii, it was just like, all right, you know what? We're doing our own thing. And they've done that ever since, and it's worked out. And it's funny because, I have a whole video idea planned about this that I'll get to at some point. But
cool.
The game that started the entire graphical fidelity war was Final Fantasy VII. It was.
Correct.
And ever since that game came out, there has just been all this stuff chasing visuals. And, I would really argue.
It's like an arms race, like a nuclear arms race.
No, it is. And it's like game visually wise, like the PlayStation 4 was about the peak of what visual fidelity is. And I mean, we've got games on PS5 that look better, but like, what are we talking about? We're talking about like ray tracing. It's like, okay.
Right. Like whatever. A lot of these games don't look like Cyberpunk does on like a 4090, where it's like that game looks flabbergasting and is significantly better looking than every game on console. Like in terms of just, that's a graphic. If that was the graphical leap from the PS4 to the PS5, I would get it. Yeah. But it's not.
I mean, I don't think we're ever going to have a generation that has a leap like the PS2 to PS3 or PS3 to PS4 ever again. I mean, I think the graphics race per se has been over for some time, but it's funny that people online still talk about it like it's this must-have thing. It's like,
Yeah,
like,
it's
don't get me
not.
wrong. Death Stranding 2 will probably be the best looking game on the market when it comes out. But at the same time, like, is it going to be this like, oh my gosh, upgrade from Death Stranding? No, it probably
No, it's
won't
not.
be. I mean,
I Yeah, I don't want to interrupt you. I wanted to say this before I lost it. I want to reflect on when 4K TVs came out and actually got
yeah.
cheap. Because that was when Sony and Microsoft were like, we need to make a pro console to basically make our games look better, right? And simultaneously have native 4K, right? Which the PS4 Pro really didn't have a lot of games that were native 4K. I mean, Kingdom Hearts collection was native 4K, but it didn't really have a lot of like brand new games that were coming out that were native 4K, and Xbox One X did. And then Xbox got obsessed with chasing graphics because that's why they spent so much time and money on that console. They were like, we're tired of getting roasted for having a slightly weaker console. It's time for us to be the big dog and have the fastest console. And now the PS5 Pro came out, and that's faster than the Series X. And Microsoft has obviously no plans, at least as far as I know, of releasing a pro version of the Series X, right?
No.
So it's like, it's just been this battle since the 4K TVs came out of who's going to have the best looking console, or sorry, have the best looking graphics and the strongest console. And this has kind of interrupted their flow, right? Because now we have this completely different perspective on what video games are supposed to be. And I feel like Nintendo didn't fall into that trap, right? They realized that good games were getting them sales and that they needed to make good games. Having a 12-hour game, and I know a lot of people are going to argue with me because there are people on the internet that think that game length doesn't matter as long as it's a good game. But I'm here to tell you, this is no Undertale situation, right? Like, if you're not making a 10 out of 10 masterpiece with $300 million, I don't care. I don't think Spider-Man 2 is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. A lot of people think it's mid. So it's like, you spent all this money for a game that was easily forgotten. People were not yapping about Spider-Man 2 like they were about Spider-Man 1, right? They just weren't. So that 4K situation kind of interrupted Sony and Microsoft. And then that got in the way of games looking better because they had to be in 4K, right? So when Sony was like, hey, we have the PS5 Pro and it's playing games at 8K, which is complete cap, right? And they're trying to get these games to run at native 4K, and they still don't have a lot of games that are running at native 4K even now.
No,
right?
Of course not.
It's like they have been chasing this resolution simultaneously while chasing foliage, while chasing ray tracing. They have so many different features that they're adding to these games that are making it harder for them to reach their goal of having native 4K, right? So it's like, it's clearly these companies don't seem to have it dialed in, right? And PC, for me, has been doing all of these things, right? I'm willing to wait for games to come out. I'm willing to not buy them on PlayStation. It just depends on what it is. If it's like Versus 13 or Verum Rex or something insane, and Square's like, we're insane today and we're going to do it exclusively for the PlayStation and Xbox because we're insane, and we have not stopped being insane, which I don't think they're going to do. I'd be shocked if they actually decided that KH4 needs to be console exclusive. That's insane. Based off of the sales that FF7 Rebirth got. It cannot be. But that game has had, we need trailers for that game. I'm not going to even get into it. That's a whole different bag of worms. A whole different can of worms. I said that wrong. It's a whole different can of worms. But yeah, we spent a lot of time on that, which is good. It's been kind of somber. We're already an hour in, but these things, I feel like we needed to talk about them and get them off of our chest. I know our business is, writing about video games and talking about video games, but it is kind of depressing to see a lot of these companies not figure it out. So that's why I've kind of been rooting for Nintendo recently. Because they haven't figured out.
We're in a very rough spot of the industry in terms of the entire history of video games right now. And Yeah, it's definitely interesting being in the place that we are because, we see this every day. I mean, we have to report on it, we have to cover it, we have to interview people about it.
We
I mean,
can't avoid it. We have no
no, you
choice.
can't. And I mean, even, I think just, I mean, I don't know. I really do hope that the industry finds a way forward, but, there's a lot of times where, I mean, even I can't really tell you what's going to happen. I have no idea. I really
Yeah,
don't.
I don't know. We normally have a good prediction for a lot of things when you're participating in the industry, especially for 5 years. I know it hasn't been that long, but for us, it's been a long time, right? You get to see a perspective of what's going on that the average consumer doesn't see, right? You get to make predictions, like the conversations that I have with people in real life about things happening in the industry. They're flabbergasted by the things that I'm talking about. Like they're flabbergasted. They're like, "You really think that the Switch is going to come out at this time?" And I'm like, "Yes." Why? It's like based off of history. That's what analysts do, right? I'm not saying I'm an analyst, but that's what analysts do. Analysts have tenure. They understand things. They know what's happening. They know what investors are doing. They understand how these companies work. If you look at the patterns, you know where things are going. Right now, I don't know where things are going. In terms of the next console generation, I'm not scared, but I'm confused. And I
I
think that
think
we're going to have
confused is a good word.
yeah, I think that we're going to have a really, I think the PS6 is going to be dead. Like, and when I
Yeah.
say dead, I mean like the UK, like slang, like British version of dead. Like, it's going to be dead, bruv. It's going to be dead.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm really interested because I think yeah, it's going to be a completely different market. I think within 3 to 4 years, like when PS6, because I mean, it's hard to even say depending on how Xbox is doing anything right now. But, as of now, it's rumored that Xbox is planning to launch their console for next generation in December or holiday 2026, which is just kind of crazy to think about, right? We've been on Xbox Series X and S since 2020, and 6 years later, they're going to launch their next generation instead of a Pro. And Nintendo's launching their first 10th generation. It's really the first 10th generation console, which is set to come out in sometime this year. And, if I had to guess, I would say June, but who knows? But I think the fact that Xbox is launching their next console so early, Sony's going to probably launch theirs sometime in 2027. And I mean, beyond that, who knows? But yeah, I think the industry is just in a confusing time. I like what you said there. Just there's a lot of confusion going on. And I don't really think that anyone, regardless of how close or not close you are to the industry, can predict what's going to happen next. And
yeah,
that unpredictability is something that I think is going to be a key factor going forward for a lot of people.
yeah, yeah. Um, Sorry guys for being depressing. I want to bring some lightheartedness to this podcast and talk about Sonic. Yes, Sonic. I know,
Uh,
Sonic.
maybe for
Noah
you.
is not the greatest. Noah is not the biggest Sonic fan. Me, I enjoy Sonic. I don't enjoy Sonic as your friend does. I don't enjoy Sonic as much as your friend does. But
Yeah, well, my certain friend might be a fanboy of it, but yeah, no, here's the deal with Sonic. It's just something I've never been able to really get into. I've played games here and there, and the gameplay just hasn't clicked for me. And I'm happy for people that enjoy it solely because like Sonic is on top of the world literally right now, and I'm happy for people that have been able to do it. But yeah, no, Sonic is definitely not my thing, to say the least.
yeah, um, it's okay. I mean, there's a lot of things that we don't share.
Yeah,
But
definitely
there's a
not.
lot of things that we do share. And that's why we're here. So Sonic 3 was a great movie. It
I
was
actually
great.
saw it.
It was awesome. What did you think?
Did I
What
tell
did you
you?
think? No, I did
Okay,
not know.
so
I didn't even know
yeah,
you
no.
saw it. I thought you were just not
Well,
into
I didn't
Sonic.
see it out
Period.
of I didn't see it out of my own will. I mean, to say the
Oh,
least. Well,
okay.
so long story short, I have a my brother wanted to see it. My little bro, like he's 5 years old. My
I'm sorry,
my
I was-
half brother, my half brother wanted to see it, and so I went with him and my dad, and I was sitting there like literally cringing the entire time because the human acting is so bad, dude.
It's
I
atrocious.
I don't know how anyone can defend it. Like I was sitting here. looking
Sonic
at my
fans don't
dad.
have a very high caliber of good and bad. Like they
No,
just don't
no,
know.
it's- now
because
listen,
they
listen,
consume a lot of garbage.
Yeah, no. I like listen, I'm gonna give you my honest review. All right. So, I was back from school and everything. I went with my dad and my little brother. We went and the movie opened, like, all right, whatever. They're doing the little camping thing and the lines are so corny. But
Yeah.
I will say this, like, overall, the scenes where it was just the hedgehogs and stuff, I think they did really well. Maria
By the
and
way,
Shadow's
did you
backstory.
see 1 and 2? I don't want to interrupt.
did.
Did you see
I
1 and
did.
2? Okay.
I did.
So they have a lot less human in
Yeah,
3.
I know. No,
So
they
it
did
was
that, and
really
I'm glad.
bad in 1, by the way. It was really
Yeah,
bad.
I haven't seen them in years, so I
Yeah.
have no idea. I don't want to
You were
rewatch
gonna say-
them.
Yeah, you were gonna say Maria and Shadow's backstory.
I really thought that they did a good job because I played Adventure 1 and 2. I've played most of the games.
Adventure
but
1 and 2, goated. Honestly,
Yeah. I think they did a good job with the backstory. I think that it was enjoyable, like for who it's targeted at, like little kids and Sonic fanboys. I think it was good. But I mean, the best part of the movie for sure was the ending. I thought the ending was awesome. Like when
Yeah.
Live and Learn came on, I was like, oh, okay, like this is cool. But it was really
super cool.
Yeah, it was cool. But and I think the end credits tease was pretty neat too. Like they basically just showed you the opening of movie 4.
It's sick. Yeah,
But I think it's really funny. I have to say this. I saw so many people online being like, "Take that, Mario movie, take that," and I'm like, "We're not." Gonna
Mario
play that
movie
game.
is sold.
We're not gonna play that game,
Dude, Mario movie is literally $1 billion box office first film in the series.
Yeah,
Are you
no, I
kidding
mean,
me?
It was awesome, and
Yeah.
I think I have my issues with the Mario movie. But
I don't think it's a
overall-
great movie, but I enjoyed
it's-
it for like just
for what
getting-
it was. It was fine. Yeah,
for getting
I-
geeked. If you're getting geeked on your
Well-
couch and you're like, I want to watch a stupid movie, that's a stupid movie. So
yeah. I mean, I think that I don't know. I mean, I think
I have
that the
something
video game.
controversial to say.
I was gonna say, I think the video game movie stuff is really challenging, and like I think the upcoming Minecraft movie is
That's
going
gonna
to
be
certainly
awful.
see some issues. It
Yeah.
looks bad.
It looks really bad. I think that's one of the worst looking movies since like Dragon Ball Evolution.
Okay, like here's my question. Like, and I totally agree. I totally agree.
Is that
But, like,
insane? Is that insane?
No,
I think
I think that's totally
I think I'm on the
fair. Like,
money.
I'm sitting here like, dude, why is Jason Momoa in this like tiny like high water pink jacket? Like that's
Yeah,
that's
why
what
does
I
he
wanna know.
look
Like, why?
stupid? Why does he look stupid? Why does he
And
look
also,
stupid?
Here's the thing that's so crazy to me, and I can tell you this: like when I was in elementary school, right? Like that was the time when Minecraft was just everything, right? And and I mean, I guess this is like middle school too, but I mean,
My dad started playing Minecraft. He's 60. I'm not forgetting my father's age. My father is 63. Okay.
yeah,
He started playing Minecraft and he's loving it. He's never played
No,
a video
I mean,
game on
it's-
his own until
it's the
Minecraft.
video game for every like anyone can pick it up and have fun with it.
Yeah.
But when I was younger, when I was a kid, like the big thing on YouTube was always, the Minecraft animations and the like the music videos, right? Like
Mhm.
you think about all that stuff, and I'm sitting here like, you guys literally could have done an animated Minecraft movie and made it beautiful, and it would have done amazing. And yet here we are with like Jason Momoa and Jack Black. I mean, I can't think the beginning
Of a dumb
the beginning of the thing.
of
Oh
a
my god!
worst
Like I yearn for the mines. I was like, I'm done, dude. I'm like, I
Dude,
can't
that's
watch
so it's so bad. It's so bad. I might have to see it just to
No,
laugh.
I was gonna say I might have to see it just because it looks like a train wreck.
I'm gonna get some tall boys and we're just gonna go. We should just go together. Let's just get some tall boys at the theater, overpay for beer, and let's just go watch it. That's what we should do. Just go
Yeah,
watch the movie inebriated and laugh horrendously and hilariously. I was going to say, they could have covered Herobrine and all of these like fan myths, and they could have really dived into the Minecraft community that they've built. This massive, 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 massive community. They've built superstars, superstar YouTubers, superstar content creators off of this video game, right? They could have built a massive movie that would have respected the community. This movie is for nobody. Who is the Minecraft movie for? And I have another controversial. That's not controversial. I don't think the Minecraft movie opinion is controversial. I have another controversial opinion. Detective Pikachu is watching Sonic's movies because I just think that plot is way more grounded. That movie is way more serious. And as an adult, I can actually rewatch that movie. As an adult, I can actually rewatch Detective Pikachu. I cannot, and that's crazy. It's Pokemon. I cannot rewatch Sonic 1 again. I cannot. I don't think I'm ever going to rewatch that movie again. Dude, I just think it's so
I literally
bad.
blocked. I honestly, I watched Sonic 1 and 2. I literally blocked them out of my head because like I literally just remember like you saw flashes of the past throughout Sonic 3 of Jim Carrey like licking the spike.
Yeah.
That's all
licking
I remember
the freaking
from
quill.
Yes, that's all I remember from Sonic 1 is that he just did that all the time and like got the little and I'm like, God, I have no idea, man. I'm like, I can't do that, man.
It's
like,
just
I'm glad.
too
No, I will
goofy.
say
He had some good dialogue though. I liked Eggman's like lines.
No, he did a good. He was the star of the show for sure. Jim
He
Carrey.
has been for all
two
three
characters.
movies.
I mean, it's crazy.
Oh yeah. Him
But I
playing two
will say-
characters and them being similar characters, is crazy because they literally are supposed to be kind of the same dude. I know they're different people. It's his grandfather, and they seem like completely different people.
No, he did.
It's
I
wild,
mean, the voices and everything. He's Jim Carrey's an incredible actor. I mean, Truman Show, all that stuff. Amazing actor. But I think the thing I wanted to say is like the Sonic movie, as corny and whatever it sounds like, this film trilogy has saved the Sonic franchise. It has.
Yes, it has.
I mean, it has. And I mean, people can argue with that, but I'm like, argue with the wall because it is a $1 billion franchise at this point.
It
in
is.
movies, which is crazy. And I mean, you look at like when the first Sonic movie came out and like all of the controversy around, so why does Sonic look like that? It's so funny.
Oh man, he was so ugly. It's crazy. The Chip and Dale movie.
Yes,
which is not a good movie.
And it's so funny. They literally, people still online say that was a publicity stunt, which it was not. They
made so much merch and stuff around that.
No, yeah.
You think they did all that merch and spent all that R&D money for no reason?
Yes, for no reason, and all the mock-ups and everything. But it's like, you sit here and I'm like, people can say whatever they want. Like, literally, those movies made so many new Sonic fans to the point that, like, this series has been lifted off the ground and practically revived.
Yeah, it has.
Like, it has. And
it has.
I mean, dude, I'm not even going to get into Frontiers because I'm going to sit here and laugh the whole time. I can't hold a straight face. Oh, my gosh. Because, oh, my God, man. The popping and everything. I remember the day that thing came out and the reviews came out and everyone on Twitter is like, no, it's so good. Look how far you can go. And people are literally, I'm like, dude, you're literally just this little floating blue ball in an environment. And boop, 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 and the shit, and the stuff floats in.
It's hard to enjoy.
Yes, it's definitely tech
It's a hard game to enjoy. It has an incredible story. I'm not kidding. The story is incredible. Ian Flynn, the comic book writer, he wrote that game. He also wrote Shadow Generations specifically. Shadow Generations, by the way, outsold Sonic Generations, which
2 million copies
insane
as of today.
That's unbelievable. As much as Sonic fans yap about Sonic Generations, you would have thought it sold more than 1.8 million copies, right? So 2 million copies, insane. Also, incredible game. Shadow Generations is an incredible game. It made me cry. I know you're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh. Don't laugh. Shadow Generations, stop. Shadow Generations made me cry. That game, even though it's really, 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 really edgy, like it's incredibly edgy. Imagine like Dirge of Cerberus, like, him transforming into chaos and with freaking death penalty and flying into Omega Weapon and just fighting Vice the Immaculate in his final form. Just imagine that, but just the video game, like escalating from that point into even more insane heights. It's an emotional game because the dialogue is really good. That's
yeah,
why
and I think
like
that's
that game
fair.
a lot.
I think that's fair. I mean, again, like Sonic fans listening, like don't take what I'm saying as this or that. I mean, trust me, everyone has their likes and their dislikes, and I
Yeah,
mean
I
that's
don't
honestly
pull my
something that
punches, dude. I don't pull my
no,
punches.
exactly. That's something that I've been thinking about a lot over the last couple of weeks. Is like discourse online is so bad, and it's so funny to me that people can't just accept that other people have opinions, and they
Yeah,
feel the need to attack people. And
yeah,
it's just funny to me, like, I don't know. If someone likes something, great. Like, that's awesome. I might not agree with it, but like, if I have a conversation, I'm gonna be like, why did you like this aspect of it? Like, I'm curious. I just want to learn. Like, it's never an attack thing, but
of
I don't
course.
know. I think that's just something that's evolved with online culture to the point that it's like you can't so many people can't hear others say something negative about something they like and they take offense to it when in reality it's like, I mean, I hate to say it, but like freedom of speech, bruh.
Yeah,
Like
freedom of
literally.
speech, dude. I can say whatever I want. And you've always been very receptive to having a conversation about things that you don't like. I want to talk about a series off that topic. I apologize. I want to talk about a series that had a surprising reboot. Um, Considering we just discussed Sonic having its, new Genesis, basically. No
Yeah.
pun intended to Sega and Phantasy Star, but Sonic having its new Genesis with the movies. Um, Dynasty Warriors Origins, I think hit like 70K concurrent, which on Steam, which is insanity, considering Dynasty Warriors has never sold that many copies across the board. It just hasn't. It was never like a really big game. Like Warriors games aren't really very popular games, right? So this is kind of my thing. I don't know if you've really played Dynasty Warriors. I'm sure you've played other Warriors games.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, Hyrule Warriors,
mhm.
Age of Calamity,
You
both
played
of
One
them.
Piece,
I've played One Piece Warriors 3, 4. I mean, I love One Piece. And then
of course.
I've played a couple others. But I've played Dynasty Warriors. I think it's 9
Nine
because
was a terrible, terrible,
that's the
terrible
only one
game.
I've played, and
That's
I
awful.
didn't really like it.
You
So
didn't
man,
really
that's
like
probably
it? I
why.
mean, that's you being really nice. I mean,
Yeah,
dude,
I didn't think it
that
was
was one of
great.
the worst video games that Koei Tecmo has ever published. Probably the worst game they've ever published, at least in my lifetime. Um,
I've heard the origins from everyone I've talked to that, either had the game and played it for review and people that have been playing it since release, they adore it. Apparently it's
yeah.
amazing.
So I want to tell you why that is based on the demo that I played because I didn't buy it. I'm probably going to buy it later. I'm focused on Rebirth. There's other games I want to play. It kind of came out at an inconvenient time for me. I really enjoyed the demo. My way of approaching video games has always been from play the game at the hardest difficulty and just deal with it, and it's been like that since I probably got like what it's been like that since I was like 20 years old, where I've just been like, just jump into critical mode, just jump into, give me God of War, jump into, Dante Must Die. Like it has to be the
Wow.
hardest
You don't
difficulty.
play
That's
on
been
games journalism difficulty?
no, I don't. I jump into every game at the hardest difficulty. This is Final Weapon. This is not Bleep. This is Final Weapon, okay? Like I jump into every video game at the hardest difficulty. You can check me. You can check me. Check
No,
me.
I think that's
Right.
commendable. I mean, for
Yeah.
me,
I deal with it.
I'll add my take. I usually am a normal guy. Like
Right.
if it's game that or a series that I'm experienced with, I'll tend to do like hard. But
Mhm.
like for most games, I kind of do the normal mode where it's balanced, and I feel like I get a good take, at least for
Yeah.
reviews and stuff. But no, I commend you for that, dude. That's great stuff. I mean, the hard mode, it really it forces you to be able to learn the game properly and how it's supposed to be played.
I think that's how games should be played, but it's okay that people see it differently. I'm okay with people who play their games on normal, right? I have beaten every single Kingdom Hearts Super Boss. And I want to tell you, and people who don't play Kingdom Hearts, why are you watching this cup?
Go play Kingdom
Why are
Hearts.
you watching
That's
this
what we're saying.
podcast? Yeah, go play Kingdom Hearts. If you haven't played Kingdom Hearts, play Kingdom Hearts. Stop hating on it. Play Kingdom Hearts. You need to play it. Every
The
single
story isn't
hater,
complicated.
it's not complicated. Just play the game. If you play the game and actually play them in order and pay attention, you'll get a lot of context for why things are the way that they are,
If
right?
you've only played 1, 2, and 3 and you don't understand the power of waking, it's probably your fault.
Yeah, it's your
Just-
fault. Yeah. You're like, what the heck is the power of waking? It's like, dude, play the video games. Clearly you haven't played them. It's okay to skip video games sometimes. Not everybody has every console. You know, it was KH1 on the PS2, Chain of Memories on the freaking Chain of Memories on the Chain of Memories. It was Chain of Memories on the GBA. It was KH2 on the PS2. You know, it was 358 Days Over 2 on the DS. It was, you know, recoded on the DS. It was coded on the phone.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Like, it
I
was
think
insane.
people get confused with the
VBS
convention
on the
of
PSP.
playing sometimes. And I also think that there is a lot of terrible recommendations out there from other people that I will, you know, I'm not going to name anyone, but also Square. Square
Yes.
literally tells you random play orders. Play the series in release order. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. Just play it in release order. You'll get everything out of it. But anyways, beyond the
play it in
point.
release order. That's what you're supposed to do. Now, Dynasty Warriors Origins is incredibly difficult when you're playing it on its hardest difficulty. Like, at least whatever difficulty I had for the demo, that was the hardest, because, you know, Dynasty Warriors is known for having like chaos and nightmare and stuff like that. I think it was just called hard in the demo for Origins. I'm not sure if they have any other modes. I thought it was incredibly difficult. And Dynasty Warriors has had a problem since its inception of the game just being not difficult. It's one of the reasons why I really don't like playing Devil May Cry. The enemies are not hitting me. Like, they're not fighting back. Like, I'm just
that's a
whooping
fair
these enemies'
criticism.
butts, dude. And I'm like, why are these enemies not fighting back? It's not fun to just run around and smack up a bunch of stuff. When the demo for Dynasty Warriors Origins came out, I was flabbergasted by how difficult the hard mode was. Like, I was literally getting beaten over and over and over again. They've never done this before, but in the missions, there's a checkpoint system for like every major kind of like event that happens in the battle. Because when you play Dynasty Warriors, you're doing a briefing, and then you get into the battle, and then there's an objective. You got to go beat the guy on the other side of the map, right? In the process of beating the guy at the other side of the map, this is every Warriors game, I think, the majority of the missions focus on defeating the general, right? The commanding officer. And that's the end goal. And you have a morale bar, and you have a bunch of officers on the field, and you have to defeat all these dudes, and you have to strategically do it, right? To get to the end. You can't just run all the way to the end. You're going to die. Normally in Dynasty Warriors, if you run all the way to the end, you're probably going to die, right? Some of the games, or some of the missions in Dynasty Warriors normally stagger you out, like kind of like if you're fighting a video game, like if you're fighting a boss in a video game and the boss has like health gating. Dynasty Warriors has like map gating, where they're like, you cannot proceed to the next part of the map until you fulfill these conditions, right? So in Origins, they have those sections of the map, basically those chapters are separated with checkpoints, right? So if you die in that particular chapter of the map, you can actually reset to the beginning of that chapter instead of going all the way back to the beginning of the map, right? And restarting the entire level. Now, I thought that was wild at first because I'm like, Dynasty Warriors has never been difficult enough, at least for me, to feel like I needed to reset on like a fight with an officer, right? But Dynasty Warriors Origins, dude, I died on hard mode on that demo like 100 and something times. Like 100 and something times. Yeah, I played for hours and hours and hours. And when I got the Lubu, I normally don't put games down when a game is difficult, right? I beat Yozora. I would consider him to be the hardest video game boss ever made, and I've played a lot of games. I've beaten Elden Ring. I've beaten DS3. I've beaten DS1. I've beaten Bloodborne. I've done them all, right? I've done them all with pretty normal builds. Not broken magic builds or nothing. Like, I've played all those games with pretty normal builds. Yozora, and I've beat God of War on Give Me God of War. I've beaten all of the super bosses in God of War. That game is very hard, right? I would say those super bosses are probably just as hard as like the Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 3 super bosses. Yozora is the hardest boss fight, right? So when I fought Lu Bu, and I'm not saying Lu Bu is harder, I was flabbergasted. I mean, you should see the stream of Maximilian dude doing it. They were stuck on that dude for a few hours. It's nuts. So, and that's at the end of the map. So can you imagine dying to him and having to restart the entire map? It would suck. So
That's
they
crazy.
did those checkpoints because the game got so hard. You have this parry system and you have all these little combos that you're doing, and the gameplay just feels really, really, really good, right? The voice acting is a lot better than Dynasty Warriors 9. It's not as good as Dynasty Warriors 8, in my opinion. I'm a big fan of Dynasty Warriors 8. I think that was the last really good Dynasty Warriors game. I know that's weird saying that Dynasty Warriors hasn't really had good games, but in terms of like the greatest Dynasty Warriors game, excluding the recent one that we're talking about right now, would be Dynasty Warriors 4. That was an incredible game. But voice acting back then was not as good either. They couldn't even pronounce the Mandarin names very well. Cao Cao, I'm not pronouncing it correctly either. They called him Cow Cow in the original games, and it just sounded hilarious. And the voice acting was awful. There's actually a lot of memes kind of around the voice acting of the original Dynasty Warriors games that came out. It's gotten a lot better. So the quality's gone up. The gameplay is really, really, really engaging. It's very difficult. Was pretty happy with the demo. I was actually shocked with it. Normally, Dynasty Warriors is kind of a Madden, 2K situation, a Pokemon situation, even if I will say, where they just kind of release a game every year with very, very marginal updates. Like, normally they have to restart the entire story. Like they retell the entire story. So if you've ever played Dragon Ball video games, at least since Budokai 1, they're retelling the story over and over and over again with different graphics and different voice lines, like redoing the voice lines all over again, right? Making new takes on voice lines like over and over and over again. Dynasty Warriors progressed incrementally over the games that released. You had 1, which was a fighting game, and then they made Shin Sengoku Musou 1, which was Dynasty Warriors 2 in the West, right? And that was when that became a Musou game. That's when it became a, we are hacking and slashing thousands of people down, right? That's when they started naming them differently in Japan, because that's why it says 8 in Japan and it says 9 in America. So I feel like Origins is a hard reset. It's a great game, at least what I've played, and we gave it a pretty good review. So I think people should definitely buy it and check it out. It's kind of I don't think it's a sleeper. I was going to say it's kind of a sleeper, but it's not.
No,
people are definitely playing it.
I don't think it's a sleeper, but I also don't think that it's a super
big hit,
well-known game right now. And I hate that, but I'm really happy that it did so well on PC, seemingly for Koei, just because Koei Tecmo, easily one of the publishers in the industry that goes under the radar for so many people. I mean, Atelier, all the anime games they've put out, Dynasty Warriors and everything else, like they really are a great publisher. And so, this is kind of leading into the next topic. Ninja Gaiden today.
Yeah,
so
Ninja Gaiden.
Xbox
we are in the realm.
Developer Direct. Yeah. Developer Direct, Xbox announced Ninja Gaiden 4, which will be published by Xbox Game Studios, developed by Team Ninja, and Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, which is out now. So, yeah, Koei's having a huge year.
They are.
And it's really exciting. But what did you think of the Ninja Gaiden stuff?
Ninja Gaiden stuff was sick, bro. The gameplay looks epic. It kind of looks like Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, which is one of my favorite video games of all time. And I'm not really a big Platinum guy. Team Ninja and Platinum have teamed up to make, I would assume, to be the spiritual successor to Revengeance and also the actual sequel to Ninja Gaiden 3. So I'm excited about it. It looks epic. It looks kind of like Ghost Runner a little bit.
It does. It looks like it looks like Ghost Runner on steroids in a way.
It does.
I'm really curious because it's kind of one of those things for me. Now look, Platinum right now, there's really no telling what is going on inside that company. A bunch of developers left, Tara left, I'm pretty sure. And a lot of people. So who knows? But I really do. I'm a big fan of a lot of Platinum's games. Like Automata was unbelievable. Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance is a phenomenal game. Yes. I loved Astral Chain. So I'm really looking forward to this, and I do hope it's really successful for Platinum's sake. And a lot of the big creatives there are gone, but that doesn't mean that the people at the studio are like talentless or anything. Like, I do hope it does
I hate
well
when
so they
people
can.
say that about studios. I mean,
I
there's some
know.
studios who have
Well,
completely nuked their entire original team, like Bungie, where it feels
yeah.
like Bungie is kind of picking up the scraps of whatever the previous people left behind, like their leftovers. But I mean, a lot of companies, when they get rid of people, it's not like they're completely changing their entire company. You know, like Platinum still has a lot of talent, and you can see it in this trailer.
No, 100%. And I just think people get too caught up in the director role. Like, I
Oh, of
mean, you could
course, yeah.
take, like, when Nomura
Naoki
retires.
Hamaguchi,
Right,
dude.
right.
When
Like,
that
when Nomura
transition happened,
retires, he's going to go. There's going to be people online that are going to be like, oh, it's over. Square doesn't make good games. Like, you have to remember, like, yes, he has the vision, but there's also 300 people or whatever that work on these games. Like, they are the people making the game, right? That's not to discredit Nomura at all or any creative leader in a studio, but in Platinum's case, like, yes, you might have seen Kamiya, Tara, and a bunch of the big directors depart, but a lot of the staff is still there. And I mean, I think this is just a good project for them. I mean, I don't know how anyone isn't excited for Ninja Gaiden 4, especially when it looks sick. I mean, the environments look really,
it
really
looks
awesome.
really, really good.
And I'm really excited. I mean, that's our like first confirmed fall 2025 game, I think.
That was a
So
huge
I'm really
surprise.
excited.
That
Yeah,
was a
dude.
huge
Yeah.
surprise. We were speculating a lot of video games. Like I was like, Castlevania needs
That's
a game.
yeah.
That still needs to happen. That's gonna get me geeked. That might be an entire like 45 minutes of conversation when that comes up. I don't know if you have any experience with Castlevania.
Oh, yes,
That is
absolutely. A
my
ton.
jam, dude. Castlevania is my jam. It's one of my favorite series next to like Mega Man, Like a Dragon, Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy. Like Castlevania is within the conversation of like one of the greatest series ever made for video games. So we definitely need a sequel for Castlevania. We need not a sequel. We need another video game. I wouldn't say there's anything to give a sequel to at the moment. So
Yeah.
Castlevania just needs another video game. But Ninja
And
Gaiden 4 looks good.
and beyond that, we also got the new Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, which
Yeah.
is the remake. And so,
Yeah, that was
that's
a
up in the
surprise
wild.
drop.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're reviewing, we've been playing it, like we're reviewing, one of our staff writers is reviewing it as we speak. And we've been playing it today, but I'm really curious to see how that perception-wise checks out. I mean, the trailer looked really good, and the screenshots I've seen online look good as well. But
Yeah.
it's nice to see what many consider to be the best Ninja Gaiden game on modern platforms.
Yeah, it's good.
And
I'm glad that we
the
have
other
it.
thing, it's funny. There's another Ninja Gaiden game coming this year,
Oh,
Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which was announced.
oh
at the
yeah,
Game
that's true.
Awards.
The side
the 2D
scroller.
one. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's a huge. I mean, it's Ninja Gaiden Revival year, which is really cool. I mean, that's a series that's been kind of out of the wild for a good bit. So
yeah.
it's
I
nice
was
to
like,
see it
dude, that
come
was such a
back.
successful series, and I was wondering where it was. So it's nice to have it back, and hopefully Ninja Gaiden 4 does really well, and people, pay for that game.
Yeah,
Pay
that's
for
the
it.
trick. Well,
Mhm.
Xbox is publishing it, and I don't think they've confirmed PlayStation 5 for it, but
Yeah,
maybe they have. I might be wrong on that, so don't take my word for it. But I know they've confirmed PC.
of course.
So it's just funny that Xbox is at the one publishing it, which is kind of interesting. In my
It's very
opinion.
interesting. Yeah, I'm wondering why.
They definitely paid a lot.
Some
Okay, so yeah,
dude.
Ninja Gaiden 4 is coming to PS5. So
Oh, okay.
Xbox will be publishing that for PS5, which is
I was
really
like,
funny.
when did Xbox start doing a Sony where they're just
Yeah.
like, give me this game, this is ours. Like,
I wonder, I almost wonder if Xbox helped fund that, and that might
Probably.
come back to, Ninja Gaiden was, an Xbox game associated for many people. back
this
in
is
the
true.
day.
This is true.
So I think that might be part of it, but I really wouldn't be surprised if like Xbox's team came and, hey, we're going to fund this part of your development, like let us publish the game. And that takes it off the pressure of publishing this off of Koei Tecmo. But yeah, it's really interesting. I think this is, I don't know. I just didn't expect Xbox to be publishing a game like that this year, to be honest.
Yeah, it's shocking. Honestly,
Yeah.
Xbox is always surprising me.
Yeah. And on Xbox, I mean, I feel like the other big announcement that they had today was really, Doom the Dark Ages coming in May, on May 15th, to
Yeah,
PlayStation 5,
I'm super excited for that.
Xbox, and PC. And I'd be willing to bet April 2nd, Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, this will be there. I'd be willing to bet.
Whoa. They should do a Animal Crossing. They should do an Animal Crossing crossover. Animal crossover.
So you say that. No. You say that. Like, hear me out on this. When do you think Prime 4 is coming out? I think it's coming out in May.
Oh, whoa. Are we saying that this is a launch title?
No. I believe Switch 2 is coming out in June. So
okay.
The launch title, I think, now I might be completely wrong on this, and maybe who knows? This is all speculative. No one knows anything at this point. I think they're going to launch with Mario Kart, and they're going to launch with something else. I think Prime 4, it could be a launch title for Switch 2 alongside Mario Kart, but I think that May for me feels right as like the big last Switch exclusive right before Switch 2. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm
makes
wrong.
sense.
But
we do need that game.
The reason I say that is it'd be really funny because instead of Animal Crossing and Doom, it would be Samus and Doom.
Yeah. That's whoa. Samus and Doom would be crazy back to back.
No, for real.
Samus and Doom guy just going back to back. That's wild.
No, absolutely. I mean, so it's kind of funny. I've seen a lot of people today. So I really liked the trailer, and I think id Software, they were talking a lot about hey, in Doom 2016 we were focused on this, and Eternal we were focused on gunplay with jumping in the air and really being very mobile, and Doom the Dark Ages we're looking to be more grounded. And I saw a lot of people online complaining like, oh my gosh, it looks so slow, it looks like this. I love Doom Eternal, but at times that game got
very
crazy.
fast.
It got crazy.
Yeah, it's very
and
fast.
I think
you have to play that game fast. I played that game on the hardest difficulty, and it was like I was just jumping around, like smashing my keyboard, just
yeah. And it's like
insane.
That's fun, but I actually think, I think this is an unpopular opinion from people online, but I actually prefer the move that they're going to a more grounded approach, and it's much more about precise movement and stuff like that, because I honestly think that that's going to shake up the formula a bit and give Dark Ages kind of its own identity when you look at 2016 and you look at Eternal.
Of course, yeah. Eternal was way faster like playing than Doom 2016. It was wild.
It was insane. Yeah.
Yeah, Doom Eternal is really, really good. I really like Doom Eternal. It sometimes can be a little fatiguing to play that game, especially on its hardest difficulty, when it's just like you're just smashing the keys. I know that sounds wild, but I mean, there's a lot of movement in that game. You have to move around a lot to not die. In Doom Eternal, it's wild. So going back to just being grounded and a little slower paced, I'm definitely thinking it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, I trust it. I mean, gosh, the stuff they showed in that trailer is crazy. I mean, it's like you say grounded, right? But like there's scenes of super fluid, crazy fast motion with the new weapons. And then obviously you're flying dragons, you're getting in Evangelion robots. So basically, I mean, it looks sick. It looks sick. I'm super pumped, man. It's like that game for me. I think there's people out there that are like, oh, Doom, and they just want to play it for hours. I'm like, I had so much fun with Eternal's campaign because I would go, okay, this was right at the beginning of quarantine, literally. And I'd go, okay, boom, like, let's play 2 hours of Doom. All right, go back. Let's touch up the island in Animal Crossing. All right, go back. Let's go back. Shoot some demons. All right, hey, I need to plant a flower here. And it was fun, but I'm really looking forward to Dark Ages. Yeah, I mean, like you said, I loved Eternal, man. Great game. And 2016 was good, too.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really exciting time, I think, overall for Xbox. Fable's still yet to come this year. I hope.
Surprising that Xbox has so much on the table.
But think about it. It's really, you think about like when they bought Bethesda, when they bought Activision and their studios, like a lot of these games for these studios started in like development probably in 2020 to 2021. So we're really starting to see those games come out this year and next year, I think.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Fable, Playground, I mean, the Forza Horizon series is so good. It is so good.
It's so
You
good.
can
Yeah.
literally be someone who does not like car games. Like I'll speak from experience. This is when Horizon 3 came out. You know, I never really had gotten into car games except for Need for Speed Most Wanted. And
Mhm.
that was when I played on and off as a kid.
Did you ever play
But
Midnight Club?
I did.
Midnight Club
And
is my jam. That's my favorite racing
no,
game.
that's a
Period.
great game. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember I jumped into Forza Horizon 3 in the wild outback of Australia. Yeah. And you're sitting back and I'm like, wow, this game is sick. And you're going around finding all these barns with beat up cars and repairing them. I mean, it's such a unique idea of like having this world map that you're like a person, but you're actually a car. And
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, it's awesome. And I actually haven't played Horizon 5 yet, but I mean, I played 2, 3, and 4.
Gorgeous
And I mean,
game.
I love
Horizon
them all.
5 looks crazy.
They're awesome. Now, I will say, Horizon 5, I was really hoping that they were going to do Japan because they really haven't done Asia. And I was like, that seems like
Forza
the perfect
needs
time to do it.
Japan. That'd be
They
the
need to.
final. That'd be it. If they had
Mexico,
Japan.
yeah, 5 was Mexico, and it looked really cool. So I
4
will
was
play that at
UK.
some point. Yeah, UK was cool because the cool thing they did with 4, if I remember, was they added the seasons in. So
Mm-hmm.
you went in through all the seasons, and then 5 looked like a lot of fun. God, I'm saying that I need to pick that game up at some point. But 5 looked like fun. But yeah, I'm really hoping that 6 comes out. And I will say, like, we usually get them like every 2 or 3 years.
It's
but
pretty frequent.
I think the last one was 2022. Like, we're not going to get one this year, I don't think, because of Fable. So I bet
Yeah.
it's next year. But beyond the
Probably.
point, yeah, they need to get Horizon Japan already. Like, make 6 Japan.
I agree. I'm looking forward to whatever they're making for, what is it? Turn 10? Is that their name? What's the name of it? Playground?
Playground Games is Horizon. Yeah, Turn 10 is the Forza Motorsport.
Oh my
developer.
God. Okay. Yeah. Forza
Yeah.
Motorsport was not the biggest success. I don't know what's going on with that game. I know I love Gran Turismo 7. I've never really been like a traditional racing game player, like, you know, like Gran Turismo and Forza Motorsport. I've been more of, I like arcade style games way more. I like the arcade racers like Need for Speed. Need for Speed has been okay.
Yeah.
Ghost Games Need for Speed was okay. Criterion Need for Speed, it was okay. Like, it's just been okay. It hasn't ever really hit the heights of like Midnight Club 3 or Midnight Club LA for me. But hopefully they go to Japan. I've been waiting for a game to just go to Japan. Like, I think the last time we had Japan like a major Western release was Midnight Club 3. You can actually go to Japan in Midnight Club 3. So,
And with that, I mean, I think that about does it for episode 2 of Weaponized. You got anything else, Noah?
nah, not really. We'll save it for the next episode.
Sweet. Well, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for new episodes. And again, there's a lot more content to come. Thank y'all so much for watching.